So, welcome everyone. We're talking a bit about the changes which were from yesterday's stream and the upcoming meta and how it will affect some decks, and especially talking about the weather deck I'm playing right now on the ladder. So the main things we saw are Gold Weather. Gold Weather is getting changed, getting nerfed from 3 damage to 2 damage, which makes them still pretty strong, but not an auto-include into nearly every deck, as a placeholder for some other Go cards. So, how does it affect this deck? So, let me start first by saying this deck is already top tier. Even if you don't believe it, but it's top tier, it doesn't mean it's automatically meta deck, but it's already top tier because people like ASDF are consistently at the top of the ladder by playing the monster weather deck. So let's just go into this. So the biggest change for neutral cards are the Gold Weather getting changed, getting nerfed. Everyone can get scraps for those cards. I even have 3 of them. Yeah, which also means everyone will drop at least one first light out of his deck because he thinks, yeah, weather is not so strong anymore. I can just drop one first light. Maybe people are running additional first lights or even the mages, so they think they can drop that, which also makes this deck benefit heavily from it. Because you can play weather once, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. You have water hack for an additional weather. It's so strong already, and you can barely deal with that because you usually run 2 removal, and if you have 1 weather on the board, it's already enough because you get your Foglets and you have the consistent damage onto opponent's units. Additional to that is that most cards which are already pretty strong are getting nerfed. So let's see, we have Nilfgaard, Tibor's getting nerfed, he loses some value, Peter's getting nerfed, all those cards are losing some points. But if we take the core of this deck, which is built around fog and spamming cards like the Foglets, or even using the Harpy as carryovers, which is insanely strong right now, I think it's already making this deck better. Even though those cards being unchanged makes them pretty good because other cards which are already really strong getting nerfed. So we start with the Go cards. So we have the Woodlands, which is receiving a buff. So we take this card, we take the value of this card. We have a 5 strength Go card, which is going to be a 7. So we have 7 points. We have the ability to summon fog, which gets Foglets on the board. So we have a 13 strength Gold card already. Then we get 3 Rabid Wolves, which makes this card already 16, but the fog is already is triggering before your opponent can even do anything against it. So we take at least 1 fog tick into account. So this card is an 18 strength Gold card. If we take other Gold cards in comparison, like even Ragnarok, which is usually, if you play it perfectly, a 9 strength Gold card, which forces a first light out of your opponent. Woodland Spirit is nearly the same. It forces you to play a first light to clear the weather, otherwise you have to deal with the Foglets, you have to deal with the fog, which makes this card super strong. So we take Yenkon or Triss Butterfly in comparison. They need a few turns to get the value of 12-15 points. And having the ability to summon a card which is immediately 18 points of strength is insane. I don't get why they would buff this card when it's already pretty damn strong. Yeah, so it's an auto-include into every weather deck, even if it's only just to summon Foglets once, maybe run 1 additional fog card, maybe run a hybrid list with current tier Woodland Spirit, but him getting a buff is insane. So the next card in this deck which gets buffed are probably 2 cards. We have the Catchin, which gets an additional value buff. I don't get why, because you can eat cards like King of Beggars. If your opponent uses this card to catch up in points, you can just eat it. You could even run this combination in this deck. Play low strength, play your Foglets, drop a King of Beggars, make him 15 strength points. Next round, just drop a Catchin. It's a good replacement for the Crones. but you have to get both of them obviously. In Crohn's you only need to get or have to get one, but you have to be scared about getting multiple ones. In this case it only helps to drop them like every round and maybe have guilds to summon them. So yeah, this is one of the cards being super strong next patch, or is already pretty good silver card. Next one is obviously Fiend. We have him as a 5 strength card. In nearly every faction there's a lock card, or in every faction there's a lock card, which is around 4 or 5 strength, maybe 6 strength. He gets 2 more value points on this card. And it's not only locking, it's reducing or half damaging the opponent by half its power. Which means if you play against a meta deck like Imperial Brigades and Nilfgaard, they usually have a value of 10 to 16 points. So this card gets an additional 5 or even 8 or 7 more points onto it. So it's a 7 strength silver card, which plays for maybe 14 points, and it's locking card, which is super good, and it's ignoring armor as well. So this card getting buffed as well. Then we have mages. Every mage is getting buffed besides the ST mage. Ida is not getting buffed, but every other mage is getting buffed. It receives 1 point. Pretty good. You have the ability to summon rain, clear skies, or even play lacerate against decks which rose decks. So I think this is one of the best mages, even if not the best mage in the game right now. It's probably auto include into every monster deck. Other cards, yeah, Fog is getting buffed. We have the new change that every fog needs to be cleared until the foglets die. Usually you play one fog, you summon the foglets on a melee row. If you drop another fog on a siege row and your opponent uses maybe Archgriffin or the Nilfgaard unit, which clears weather from one row, the foglets disappear. But fog is getting buffed. If there's at least one fog on the opposite side of the field, foglets stay on the board, which is insane. We get so much love and so many buffs for this deck. The next buff for this deck is Frightener. Frightener was, or is right now, is a card. It's a spy, the only spy for getting card advantage in monsters. You drop him on the opposite side of the field, and it throws all adjacent units to random rows, which is okay. You can stop row stacking if there's some buff going on. And the next Frightener, the Frightener buff is really huge. You play him on a row you want him to be and pull at least one unit, or you can pull a unit to its row. So you can just pull a unit into weather, which is super good. If you have frost, if you play this with a frost deck or a hybrid list, it's insanely good, because you can now, it's not relying on RNG anymore, which is good. Next cards, even if they did not change, but I think they are super strong and maybe even unhealthy for the game, are Harpies. Harpies are being played for 7 points. You play a 5 strength bronze card which summons 2 Harpy eggs. I think, I can just say it, I think this card is getting nerfed in the near future. There's no way this card stays the way it is right now. So you have a 5 strength bronze card, summons 2 eggs, and if the eggs are getting killed or consumed, they spawn 2 3 strength Harpies, which makes this card at least 11, maybe even 13 points. So play 7, get 6 more points in the same or even in the next round. Makes this card super good. It's at least 11 to 13 strength bronze card. It's in every monster deck. In every monster deck, regardless of what you're playing, of which archetype you're playing, consume, weather, doesn't really matter. You include 3 of those because it's insanely good. Then you have the Wyverns. I would maybe even say you put 2 or 3 of them into your control weather deck, because they are at least 8 points. And if you play low tempo, low strength, low value, like you use Fog, you get 6 points on the board, and your opponent is opening with Nilfgaard with its leader ability, spawns his golems, it's still going to be 9 plus an additional card. Yeah, if there is a point difference more than 7 points or at least 7 points, this card is going to deal 5 damage. So this is not a 6 strength bronze card, it's 11. If you play it correctly, if you use it in combination with a Frightener or just playing low value, you play a Fog and use your Necker Warrior onto your units, you play 11 points with 2 cards, and nearly every faction is able to play more strength besides maybe Squirtle. But even if they open with Brewer as a leader and spawning a Dwarf, it's super strong because your opponent will be ahead of you and you can make this card value as an 11 strength card, which is insane. So for the other cards, yeah, nearly unchanged. Every card is getting love, is getting buffed. If we check the changes now, monsters, yeah, the other changes are mainly for the consume list, which is going to be viable, I think. But overall, the core of this deck is unchanged, which is insane, because Harpies are unhealthy. They should have changed, maybe changed the Harpies which spawn from the eggs to 2 points. I think it's still pretty good, even if they do that, or maybe change this to 4 points, but right now this is one of the strongest bronze cards in the game, tied up with the golems from Nilfgaard. So overall this deck is going to be super good. And all those silver cards there